What's going on, guys? I'm Dylan from Quest for Nostalgia, where I teach how I do all of my 3D printed movie props and things like that. I'm super pumped to have done the Putty Mask. It helps me finish out this kind of set of Mighty Morphin. I thought I was done, but realized I needed a Putty Mask. And it's going to be a really fun cosplay to do on the off days when I'm not wearing my Iron Man suit. So let's get into this build. This file is by BlackGorillaArmory. I reached out to them when I saw that on their Patreon they have some different masks. They had like a metal Rita from the anniversary special and things like that. And so I was like, hey, would you mind modeling a putty mask? I really want one, and I think that we could team up for this. And he was like, let's do it. So I sent him some reference photos for some help there as well, and we got this done. I mean, it looks absolutely amazing. Looks just like that early season stuff, as you know how I like it there. And so I had to get this thing out to you guys. This is going into his August Patreon membership, so go check them out on Instagram, Black Gorilla Armory. And thank you so much for making the file. I'm stoked. It's such a funny niche little thing, and I really appreciate it. There's going to be more projects by them. I want to do their Three Ninjas kickback masks and a bunch of different things like that as well. So we're definitely going to be working with them way more. So if you want to help out the channel, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube things. That really helps me grow, gets things shared. You know, we got to get some love for the Putty Mask and for the Beetleborgs. We got to get those things spread. So really help me out by sharing this thing and just doing the things to combat that algorithm. And if you want to take it a step forward, I have a Patreon as well for Quest for Nostalgia. You can help with the Amazon wish list to send me plastic to be able to do some of these big projects and things like that. And it just really helps me continue to make things that I love to make. Thank you for everybody who already supports. You guys are fantastic, and you guys are really the backbone of the channel. Also, remember, if you're interested in any 3D printed kits, whether it be something like the mask you can finish yourself, or do a helmet like this, or any of the helmets, nothing's off the table. If you live in the US, reach out to me on Instagram or join the Discord and send me a message, and we can work on getting you a kit sent out, so that way you can work on and follow one of the videos to help you finish one of the helmets yourself. So let's get into the build. The file comes out absolutely amazing. The details are fantastic. I start with 80 grit and I do sponge sanding for things like this where I want to keep the detail. I didn't want to blow through it with the power sander. You can do it on, say, like the top layers. I oriented this almost straight up, just like this here, supporting just a little bit on this ridge here, but it laid one on top of the other, and it came out really nice. So there was a little bit of a, more spot that you had to fix at the top because that's where the top layers are. 80 grit helps knock that all out. One thing I don't show often is I actually blow off my prints between sanding. So usually I use a leaf blower. I just got a big air compressor, so I have a little nozzle that I just blow the dust off of it in between sanding or before spraying. It wouldn't be a putty mask without some putty. So let's get into the next step. I use a 1-to-1 mix of acetone to spot putty. You can use your favorite one of choice. There's Bondo glazing putty. I used to use that a lot. Now I've been using U-Pool's glazing putty. It comes in like a purple tube. It's really, really nice. I've done that on my entire Iron Man suit. I did that on the Beetleborg over here. I'm really, really enjoying that. So I mix that 1-to-1. What looks like I squirt it into a tuna can, and then I also use a little squirt bottle to squirt some acetone into there, and I try to keep it about 1-to-1. And it comes out a little bit thicker than a milkshake type deal. And I use a spare brush that I get from the dollar store and brush that on here, and it comes out really nice and thin and smooth. It helps fill in those layer lines, and it sands really well. With the putty layer done, it's time for the next sanding step, and that's with 120 grit, again with a sponge just like we did with the 80 grit. And with the 120 done, blow it off, and it's time for filler primer. I used the Duplicolor filler primer on this one, but you can use whatever you want. You can use the crazy stuff through the spray gun. You can use Rust-Oleum filler as well, or Duplicolor, or U-Pull. All of them have them. There's no shortcut. Just use a filler primer. They're all very good, and they're going to get you to the next step. The next step that I did was wet sanding, but honestly, you probably could have stopped at the filler primer because it's a putty and it has like rock texture and all these different things here. It probably looked really well with some extra texture from that filler primer, but I wet sanded it down. I did 220, 320, and 400 back to back to back. I have a bucket set out in my garage now after doing that full Iron Man suit of wet sanding. I just keep it out there filled with water and then wet sand this down there, and it came out really nice. The wet sand was complete, and it's time for just gray flat primer. You could go straight into Rust-Oleum's, 2X satin gray or something like that. That is a paint and a primer as well. I just used the flat gray primer and it worked out really well. I really like the color of it. Spray in an on-off motion, light coats, on, off, on, off, on, off. And that's going to make sure that you get it nice and light and you don't get any runs because we're not going to be sanding any bit more. For the eyes here, I just used a dark red by Vallejo. You can use anything from Citadel paints or just the Apple brand or whatever from Walmart. Just get something that is like a dark burgundy blood red for the eyes here. That'll keep it nice and dark. I also use another technique to get them a little bit darker as well. But yeah, I just brush painted them on there. It's not very hard to do, to just brush it and keep it in the lines on there. These already come with holes in the model there, so you can see through them nice and easy. The next step that I do to make this, all the details pop, to darken those eyes, is I use a black wash. So mine is from Games Workshop. They have Citadel paints. It's called Newland oil, and it's just a black wash. You can use black inks and things like that. I just get it painted into the cracks here, and what that does is it pulls out that detail. So I also brushed it over top of the eyes and in all the cracks here, so that way that deepest recess is black or is a darker gray. Put it on and then wipe off the excess, and it's going to come out looking really nice and really kind of give that detail back to those fine nooks and crannies. So then to kind of clean up the ink wash and stuff like that as well, is I use a technique called dry brushing. So I chose a medium colored gray that was almost exactly the same as the shell here. And with that, I put paint onto the brush and then I wipe it off. You can use something like a makeup brush, get one at the dollar store as well, and wipe off almost all of the paint on a paper towel. And then I brush my hand till it starts to just barely leave paint on my hand. And then that's when I go through and start dry brushing the model, pulling the highlights back up on the tallest parts, the things that would be getting light, and cleaning up some of the areas where that ink kind of overstepped or overreached. Then I use the same technique again to create all of the really nice highlights. Using a light gray, you'll see I do it on the ridges up here, so that's how I bring out the rim. The lighting kind of is doing it already here, but there's small spots in it that if you look at it nice and tight, you'll see there's spots that are dry brush gray just to give it more of a stone texture and to make it really look like that rock or that putty. And when it's done, you can just spray with a matte clear coat and that keeps it nice and dull. You don't want a high gloss thing with the putty. You want it to look matte and you want to look, less shiny and things like that. For the strapping, I use nylon straps and hot glue. And what I did was I actually hot glued it farther into the shell. So that way there's a small gap here where the morph suit can tuck in underneath. If you did it to here, the morph suit wouldn't be able to go underneath. I wanted it to slightly go in behind the mask there for when I'm wearing the suit. This T piece here, this file is on Thingyverse for free. All I did was look up the Squid Games helmet on Thingyverse, and that's allowed me to do this, to do a top strap and these two middle straps there. It's really good for masks. And then these little bicycle straps allowed me to make it adjustable. These are completely unnecessary. You can literally just loop it through here and then hot glue the straps together once you have the fitment that you like. This just allows me to adjust it a little bit easier, but completely unnecessary. And that's it. That's the Putty Mask done. I think this thing is hilarious because, gosh, it's kind of niche, it really does go with the set so well. I love seeing this on the shelf now. And then for me, you guys know I'm doing a full Iron Man suit. Well, my undersuit is a gray morph suit. So having this as a different day of the con where I can just bring some gray rain boots. I'm going to make some gloves with it as well. But just wear that morph suit from underneath my Iron Man suit and the mask gives me a whole second cosplay for nothing. I absolutely love it. BlackGorillaArmory, you nailed it. I'm so pumped that I got to make this thing. Thank you so much. And like I said, I can't wait to work with you more on different projects and bring some of your other creativity to life there. You're amazing. If you guys like it, let me know. Let me know if there's any other, minions or things like that from different seasons that you would love to see, done. let BlackGorillaArmory know that, you know, what files you'd like to see in their Patreon and what other things that they could do. But I really appreciate you guys. If you've made it to the end of the video, you guys are the backbone of the channel. Again, like, comment, subscribe. The YouTube things help me beat the algorithm, and it gets funny things like this in the Beetleborg shared to get a little bit more, you know, light on it, to maybe bring back and reboots and fun things like that. So thank you guys for all the support. I love you. You guys are fantastic. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.